It's not quite win or go home, but this afternoon's rematch of the NFC Championship game could be very costly for the team that goes down in defeat. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Kickoff Show presented by Axalta. I'm Chris McPherson alongside Fran Duffy as the Eagles host the Minnesota Vikings today at Lincoln Financial Field. These were the two best teams in the NFC last season, and many expected that to be the case once again in 2018, but things haven't gone as planned thus far. The Vikings are 1-2-1, and they haven't won since the opening week against the San Francisco 49ers. Their last game was 10 days ago against the Los Angeles Rams, a tough defeat to them. The Eagles, meanwhile, are smarting after last week's loss to the Titans, Fran, a game in which they led by 14 points in the second quarter and regained the lead once again in overtime before losing.
Yeah, no question. These are two teams here that are starving for a win. It's too early to say must win for either of these two teams, but both of them are hoping to come away from Lincoln Financial Field today with a W, and it's going to be big for both these teams.
All right, let's send it to the link where number 11 himself, Carson Wentz, is getting the Eagles ready for action. Wentz has won his last 9 games at home in which he's been the starter.
Yeah, he was outstanding last week, Chris. I mean, you look at the ball placement, the velocity, the anticipation, everything that you wanted to see him kind of take the next step in off of his debut in Week 3 against Indianapolis. He did that. He was outstanding against the Tennessee Titans. I'm hoping here today that we see his receivers kind of come through for him a little bit here in the clutch. Some of those third down receptions that could have been last week, I'm hoping we're able to see some conversions here today.
Now, Fran, the challenge for the Eagles has been protecting Wentz, who has been sacked 9 times and hit a total of 18 occasions since returning to the lineup. Now, the big thing for the Eagles, and if you listen to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast this week presented by Gatorade,
of course,
you touched on the fact that the Vikings have one of the most exotic pressure packages in the entire NFL.
Yeah, they like to attack the quarterback, especially on third down. That's why even though they're giving up a bunch of yards overall, they're still a top 5 third down defense entering this game. So the Eagles have to do a much better job, Chris, of making sure they are in more third and manageable situations. Last week against Tennessee, the average third down was 3rd and 10. You're not going to be successful on third down if that's the kind of situation you're looking at on those critical situations. So really, that's really where they have to be better on first and second down at being able to run the football, be able to be efficient on the ground, but then also come through for your quarterback. There were too many drops on first down a week ago. The screen game wasn't effective last week. I think if they're able to be more efficient on first down, that's going to lead them being successful here on third down.
Great sign for the Eagles is that Corey Clement is active for today's game. Jay Ajayi will be the starter, but Clement in the rotation is key. Clement's been dealing with an injury the last couple of weeks, missed the game against the Titans. Now, Fran, this Vikings defense was the best in the league last season, and it hasn't quite been the same since an NFC Championship game. Most of the faces are the same. Everson Griffin, the talented defensive end, is out dealing with issues away from the game. Trey Waynes is sidelined with a concussion. What else is it? Because really, the names and faces, for the most part, are the same.
Yeah, I think really when you look at this team, it's almost like looking at this Eagles team. And honestly, Chris, one of the big points that I think is most interesting about this entire game, look at those starting lineups back in the last weekend of January and then here today. There's double digits different starters from both sides. You've got 22 starters for the Eagles, 22 starters for the Vikings. There's upwards of maybe 15 guys that are new names from that game. And that's what, to me, one of the biggest storylines of this contest. But really, when you look at this Vikings team, they're just not playing the kind of inspired football that I've come to expect from a Mike Zimmer defense. That's been one of the biggest things that stood out to me watching them, especially last week against LA.
Make a quick point for the Eagles defense. Derek Barnett is out with a shoulder injury, so the Eagles are putting Michael Bennett in the left defensive end spot, which typically Brandon Graham has been playing, and putting Graham on the right side of the line. And this is important because Bennett played on that side throughout his time in Seattle and was playing on the right side here in Philadelphia, but is much more comfortable on the left side. For me, it's good that the Eagles are maximizing the talent there and utilizing the guys that they have in Barnett's absence.
And that immediately becomes a big matchup in this game because right tackle Rashad Hill for the Minnesota Vikings, not only has he struggled, but he has struggled to be healthy. He has been in and out of the lineup, and that goes in within any given game as well. He has struggled really this year. So Michael Bennett against Rashad Hill is certainly a matchup to watch in this game.
One other quick point in the starting lineup, Avonte Maddox starting at safety alongside Malcolm Jenkins there. That'll be interesting because the Vikings have 2 outstanding receivers in Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. So we just showed you some of the players there on the field warming up. We're going to send it back to the link now where Eagles insider Dave Spadaro and Amy Campbell are standing by to give you their storylines to watch as well as some bold predictions.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. A lot to look at in this game. Amy, why don't you begin with your storyline?
Yeah, two teams really coming in here desperate for a win, I would say, on both sides. And to me, it's going to come down to the Eagles' secondary. I feel a bit like a broken record. We've said this the last few weeks, that they've really struggled to limit the big plays. And this Vikings offense, very potent, very, very strong receivers in Diggs and Thielen there. That can these Eagles DBs shut these guys down, limit the big plays? I think that's going to be the key to this game for the Eagles.
In a world of statistics, I'm going to focus on these statistics. Yes. The red zone, success in the red zone. Yeah. Eagles have had a lot of it at Lincoln Financial Field. Defensively, just 2 touchdowns and 10 trips. They're playing very well offensively in the red zone. Last year's team, first in the league offensively in red zone efficiency and scoring. This year, 18th in the league in red zone efficiency. That has to change in what most people expect to be a high-scoring game today.
Yeah, I'm expecting that as well. And I think for a bold prediction, I've not been great the past couple of weeks, so today is my day. I can tell. I'm predicting that the Eagles' defensive line gets home 4 sacks on Kirk Cousins. He's been sacked 4 times in the last 2 games. I'm calling it today.
Well, that's a big, and that would be a huge plus for the Philadelphia Eagles. For me, I'm going to focus on Nelson Aguilar. 3 drops last week. Now, he's been devastating out of the slot since moving there, and he was been really last year was very, very reliable. But last week, 3 drops. The opening play didn't quite get to it. I want to see a bounce-back game from Nelson Aguilar. I'm calling 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Chris McPherson, back to you at the NovaCare Complex.
Thank you, Dave and Amy. Now, you might want to listen to the insider. He's been strong out of the gate, going 2 for 2 so far in his bold predictions. I'm 1-1. I'll give you mine in a moment. Fran, you're looking to get on the board here. You were oh so close a week ago. What do you have in store this week?
I'm telling you, if DeAndre Carter had come out and scored that touchdown, and I was running onto the set here on the postgame show and crashing the show here with Grease and yourself. But I think when you look here at this game, I think a bold prediction, especially looking at how the Eagles have protected so far this season, that Carson Wentz will not be sacked here today against the Minnesota Vikings. Corey Clement's back in the lineup. He's the #1 pass protector on this football team. And I think really when you look at the offensive line, they're going to get things figured out. I think the run game is going to be big today. I really like the Eagles to not give up a sack here today.
I wonder if we'll see any tweaks along the starting lineup there, along the offensive line. I'm going to kind of piggyback off you there and go with number 11, Carson Wentz. Okay, the key number to watch here is 364. That's his career high in passing yards. I think he surpasses that in not just an Eagles victory, but a double-digit point win for the Eagles over the Vikings. So I'm going twofold here. I'm giving you Carson Wentz, a new career high in passing yards, as well as a double-digit point win for Philadelphia over Minnesota. So those are our bold predictions. How about some players to focus on? Let's send it up to the booth, where the Hall of Fame duo of Merrill Reese and Mike Quick are standing by.
Thanks, Chris. A lot is running on today's game. And, Mike, who is your player to watch?
Well, my guy to watch today is going to be Nelson Aguilar. Last week, he didn't have one of his better games. I'm expecting a bounce-back game, and they do a lot of things with Nelson coming out of the backfield, putting him in a lot of different packages to feature him. You know, they throw the ball to Zach Ertz so much. I think this has to be a big day for Nelson Aguilar.
I agree. My player is going to be on the other side of the ball, and that's the rookie 4th-round draft choice out of Pitt, by the name of Avonte Maddox. He came in last week and came up with his first pick in the NFL. He will be playing safety today, and you know all about the pass coverage problems last week. Let's hope that Avonte Maddox can make a difference. Chris, back to you.
Now, if you can't get enough of Mike Quick, he's going to join us on the other side as well for this week's one-on-one player interview with Pro Bowl tight end Zach Ertz. However, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, you need to come on over to PhiladelphiaEagles.com or the app to watch the rest of the show. We'll give you a few minutes to get situated.